The sun was shining brightly over Lagos, and the birds outside chirped happily. Mr. Alex stood at the balcony of his apartment in Ikeja, looking down at the busy streets below. Cars beeped, people rushed to work, and children laughed as they walked to school. But Mr. Alex's heart was beating fast for another reason. Today was a big day. He had just received an email that could change his life forever. Slowly, with shaking hands, he opened it again. The words were still there, bold and clear. "Congratulations, Dr. Alex. Your application has been approved. You are invited to work with us in the United States." He couldn't believe it. After so many years of working hard in Nigeria, praying, and applying to jobs overseas, his dream had finally come true. He was going to America. He rushed inside to tell his wife. "Sandra!" he shouted, his voice full of joy. Mrs. Sandra turned around from the kitchen, holding a spoon. "What is it? Why are you shouting like that?" "I got the job," Mr. Alex said, smiling wide. "They want me to come to the U.S." She dropped the spoon. "Are you serious?" He nodded. "Yes, I'm serious." Their daughter Joy, who was 11, came running in. "What's going on?" "Daddy got a new job," Sandra said, hugging her husband. John and Joel, the two younger boys, ran in too, curious. "We're going to America?" Joel asked, eyes wide. Mr. Alex's smile faded just a little. He looked down and said softly, "Not yet. Only Daddy is going for now." The room went quiet. The kids' happy faces dropped. Sandra sat down slowly. "Just for a while," he added quickly. "Once I settle down, I'll bring all of you. I promise." They nodded slowly, but the sadness was still there. He was happy, yes, but something inside felt heavy, like a piece of his heart was staying behind. The day came too fast. The air in the house felt heavy, even though the sun outside was bright. Mr. Alex sat on the edge of his bed, tying his shoes slowly. His suitcase was packed. His flight to the United States was just a few hours away. Sandra stood by the door, her arms crossed tightly across her chest. She had been quiet all morning. Joy, John, and Joel stood beside her. None of them were smiling. It was supposed to be a happy day, but their hearts felt full of sadness. Mr. Alex got up and walked over to his family. He knelt down and hugged his kids one by one. "Daddy, do you have to go today?" John whispered. "I have to, son," Mr. Alex said, trying not to let his voice crack. "I want a better life for all of us. And this is how we'll get it." At the airport, the crowd was loud and busy. People were pulling their bags, saying goodbyes, and rushing to their gates. But for the Alex family, time felt slow. They stood together, not wanting to let go. Sandra wiped her eyes and hugged him tightly. "Please take care of yourself. Promise you won't forget to call every day." "I promise," he said softly. "I'll call. I'll write. I'll send pictures. I'll do everything. And I'll bring you all soon." Joy cried as she hugged him. Joel held onto his dad's leg. Mr. Alex had to gently pull him off, and it broke his heart. Finally, it was time. With one last wave, he turned and walked toward the gate. He didn't look back, because if he did, he might not be able to leave. The flight was long and cold. Mr. Alex looked out the window, lost in thought. Everything he knew was behind him now. His home, his family, his whole life. When the plane finally landed, the loud voice on the speaker welcomed everyone to America. His heart beat faster. At the arrival gate, a tall man in a blue shirt waved at him. "Alex," the man called. Mr. Alex smiled faintly. It was his cousin, Mr. Cunnell. "Welcome, cousin," Cunnell said, pulling him into a hug. "You made it." "I made it," Mr. Alex said, looking around. "But it still feels like I left everything behind." "Don't worry," Cunnell said with a smile. "You're going to build something even better here." 1 year felt like forever. Mr. Alex worked hard every single day at the hospital in the U.S. He met new doctors, saw new machines, and learned new things. The hospital was big and busy, but he kept doing his best. His patients loved him. The nurses respected him. And his boss kept giving him more important work. The money was good, better than anything he ever earned back in Nigeria. But still, something was missing. Every evening, he went home to an empty apartment. He would cook for one, eat alone, sleep alone. It was quiet, too quiet. But he didn't waste time. He saved every dollar he could. After some months, he moved into a bigger apartment with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a cozy living room. It had a small backyard and a kitchen where Sandra could cook her favorite dishes. He even got bunk beds for the boys and a cute pink bed for Joy. Then finally, one morning, his phone rang. It was Sandra. Her voice was shaking with joy. "Our visas came through," she shouted. Mr. Alex jumped out of bed. He couldn't believe it. A month later, he was standing at the airport again, but this time, with tears of happiness in his eyes. He saw them coming, Sandra, Joy, John, and Joel, all smiling, all waving. He ran to them and hugged them tight. "We missed you so much, Daddy," Joel shouted. "We're never going to be apart again," Joy said. Back home, everything changed. Sandra got a job at a media company as a sales manager and marketing officer. She dressed smart, spoke confidently, and made friends fast. She was proud of herself, and so was Mr. Alex. The kids started school the next week. They wore backpacks and new sneakers. Joy joined the school choir. John and Joel played soccer. Their teachers said they were smart and polite. Every night, the family sat at the dinner table, laughing and eating together. Mr. Alex would look around and smile to himself. This was the dream. He had worked hard for this. The lonely nights, the distance, the waiting, it was all worth it. He had his family, a good job, a nice home, and a new life. But just as things felt perfect, something unexpected started to unfold. At first, everything felt like a dream come true. But slowly, something started to change. Mr. Alex began to notice little things. Sandra, who once laughed with him at dinner and asked about his day, started acting different. She used to be the one helping the kids with homework, packing their lunches, and driving them to school. But now, she was always in a rush. "I'm busy," she would say. "Work is crazy today." At first, Mr. Alex believed her. After all, she was a sales manager and marketing officer. It was a big job. But when the days turned into weeks, and she still came home late, missed dinner, and left the kids waiting after school, Mr. Alex's heart began to feel heavy. One day, he had to leave work early just to pick up the kids because Sandra didn't show up. Joy looked worried. John and Joel were quiet. "Where's Mommy?" Joel had asked. "She's working," Mr. Alex said, forcing a smile. But he knew something wasn't right. At home, Sandra would come in without even saying hello sometimes. She would go straight to her room, lie on the bed, and stare at her phone, texting, calling, laughing softly to herself. If Mr. Alex asked, "Who are you talking to?" she would frown. "It's just office stuff," she'd reply quickly. "Colleagues." But her smile was no longer warm, her eyes didn't light up when she looked at him, and her hugs became quick and cold. Mr. Alex began to feel alone again, but this time, inside his own home. He wanted to talk. He needed to talk. One night, after the kids were asleep, he said softly, "Sandra, can we talk please?" She looked up from her phone. "Talk about what?" "About us," he said. "Something's not right. You're distant. I feel like I'm losing you." Sandra rolled her eyes. "Here we go again." "I'm serious," he said, his voice cracking. "I'm worried. About our family. About you. About me. The kids are noticing. I'm just tired, Alex." "Not everything is about you," she snapped. He tried to stay calm. "Then help me understand. Please. Don't shut me out." But before long, the conversation turned into a fight. She raised her voice. He raised his too. Nothing got solved. And just like that, she walked away again, back to her phone, back to silence. Mr. Alex sat on the couch that night, his hands on his head. He felt like his heart was breaking slowly. He loved his wife. He loved his family. But something was pulling them apart, and he didn't know how to stop it. It was a quiet Thursday evening. The sun was going down, painting the sky with orange and purple. Mr. Alex was driving home from the hospital, his mind full of stress. Lately, things at work had been harder. He wasn't sleeping well, he wasn't smiling as much. Everything felt heavy. He passed by a small restaurant on the way, one he and Sandra used to visit together before everything changed. As he glanced at the glass windows, something caught his eye. He slowed the car. Inside the restaurant, sitting at a corner table, was Sandra. She wasn't alone. A man sat across from her, smiling, laughing, holding her hand. Mr. Alex's heart stopped for a moment. He parked the car quickly and walked into the restaurant, his legs shaking. As he stepped closer, he saw it clearly. The man was gently touching Sandra's arm. Sandra was smiling in a way she hadn't smiled at home in a long time. She didn't see Alex coming. "Sandra," he said, his voice low but sharp. She jumped in surprise, her eyes wide. "Alex, what are you doing here?" "What am I doing here?" he asked, stunned. "What are you doing here?" "With him." The man looked confused. Sandra stood up quickly. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is," Alex said. "Because from here, it looks like you're on a date with another man." People in the restaurant were starting to stare. The man stood up too, but Alex didn't care about him. His eyes were locked on Sandra. She didn't answer. She just grabbed her bag and left the restaurant. Alex stood frozen, his heart pounding so loudly he could hear it in his ears. From that day on, things fell apart fast. Sandra became colder. She stopped talking to Alex completely. He tried to make her sit down and explain, but she would scream, insult him, and walk away. The children still didn't know. Mr. Alex tried to protect them from the truth, but it was getting harder. He called her parents in Nigeria. He called his own. They tried talking to her. But nothing worked. Sandra had changed. Life in America had changed her completely. One night, Sandra didn't come home at all. Mr. Alex waited. He called her phone many times, but she didn't answer. He sat on the couch the whole night, the TV still on, but he wasn't watching it. When she finally came back in the morning, she walked in like nothing had happened. "Where were you?" Alex asked, his voice tired but firm. "Why didn't you come home? Why didn't you call?" She rolled her eyes. "I'm not a child. I don't need to explain myself to you." "You're my wife," he said, louder now. "You didn't even pick my calls." She threw her bag on the floor and started yelling. "You don't control me, Alex. This is not Nigeria. I can do whatever I want." Her words hit like knives. She kept shouting, throwing insults, calling him names. "Stop it!" Alex shouted. "Just stop it!" But she didn't. Something inside him broke. In a moment of anger and pain, he raised his hand and slapped her. It was just one hit, but the sound echoed through the apartment like thunder. Sandra looked at him in shock, holding her face. Then, without a word, she grabbed her phone and walked out the door. Alex stood frozen. His chest was tight. His hands were shaking. A few minutes later, he heard the sound of sirens. She had called 911. Mr. Alex sat in the back of the police car, his hands cuffed, his eyes full of tears. He couldn't believe this was happening. He had only raised his hand once, in a moment of deep pain and confusion. But now, his whole world was crashing down. At the station, they took his fingerprints. They took his picture. They treated him like a criminal. He didn't sleep that night. He just sat in the cold, quiet cell, thinking about his kids, about Sandra, about everything he had lost. The next morning, he called the only people he could trust, his cousin Connell and his lawyer, Mr. Benson. They came as fast as they could. "She's pressing charges," the lawyer said. "It's serious, Alex. Very serious." Connell placed a hand on his shoulder. "We'll fix this. Just stay strong." They both went to Sandra's new address to speak to her. But when they got there, they were shocked to find that she had moved in with another man, Mr. Robinson, the same man from the restaurant. He worked with her at the media company. Sandra looked them in the eyes and said calmly, "I've already filed for divorce. I'm keeping the kids. Alex is unstable. She's saying you're dangerous," the lawyer told Alex later. And the fact that she already moved in with this man, It makes things worse. The case dragged on for days. Then weeks. The good news came too late. Sandra agreed to withdraw the charges. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was pressure from the families in Nigeria. No one knew for sure. Alex was released. But the damage was already done. His job at the hospital? Gone. They said they couldn't keep someone with a police record, even if the case was dropped. His home? Gone. Sandra had taken over the apartment and left no room for him. His children? Gone. She had full custody now, and Mr. Robinson was stepping into the role Alex had once fought so hard to protect. Then came the final blow, an official letter from immigration. Because of the arrest and job loss, his visa was no longer valid. He was being deported. The day he stepped off the plane in Nigeria, the sky was gray. It wasn't raining, but it felt like it should have been. Mr. Alex, who had once walked into the United States full of dreams and hope, was now back in Lagos with nothing. No wife. No kids. No job. No home. He sat alone in a small guest house, staring out the window, whispering to himself, "I just wanted a better life." His heart was broken. His spirit felt crushed. And yet, somewhere deep inside, a tiny spark of strength still lived. But for now, all he could do was breathe, and try to survive. Though Mr. Alex lost everything he once held dear, his journey wasn't over. He found himself back in Nigeria, with his heart broken and his dreams shattered, but not completely gone. Slowly, he began to rebuild his life, starting from the smallest steps. He reunited with old friends, leaned on his family for support, and found a new purpose in helping others who were struggling, just like he had. Over time, he discovered that true happiness didn't come from material things or faraway dreams, it came from within. And though the pain of losing his family would never fade completely, he learned to forgive himself and find peace. Mr. Alex's journey had taken him far, both physically and emotionally. But in the end, he realized that sometimes, life's most difficult chapters can lead to the most meaningful lessons. And though his dreams of a perfect life in the U.S. were lost, his story was far from finished. Hope you enjoyed the story. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See you in the next one.